If your mind won't switch off, I would like you to start here. Not here. I'm in Barna Woods, but I mean here in terms of the content of today's podcast, which is centered around helping you slow down racing thoughts and just feel like your thoughts aren't controlling your life, because I know what it's like to be in that space. There's one particular moment that stands out for me is when I had just moved to Australia and I'd been seeing a therapist for maybe like 5 months before that and was feeling pretty settled, had a good sense of control around my thoughts. I was talking about them regularly, and when I got to Australia, everything started to spiral. I felt like I was at the mercy of my mind, the constant rumination. I couldn't settle, and I just had to book in for a session with him. And we were doing it in person in Ireland, but he's an older guy, and we ended up booking an online session, which he was kind of against, but we ended up having it, and it again soothed my thoughts for like a couple of days. But I fell back into this spiral of just being at the mercy of my mind. I didn't really have any tools to regulate myself or an understanding of what I'm going to explain today, which in the context of your mind not being able to switch off could be a huge shift for you. You'll know already from listening to this that I'm a breathwork facilitator. Breathwork works primarily with the body, and that's where we're going to take this conversation today. And I'd like to begin with offering some context around what's actually happening up here and how down here is influencing that. Because for so many people, myself included in the past, I felt like my mind was the problem, but it wasn't the root cause. The mind is a predictor. It's constantly making predictions. About 85 to 90% of our thoughts, in theory, are predictions based on our previous experiences, our learned behaviors, and in the context of today's podcast, what's happening in our bodies. And we will work primarily with the body today, building towards a practice that you can use to quieten the mind. I'm going to use a quote from this book, from Lisa Feldman Barrett, to begin today's podcast, and the quote is, "Your brain is not reacting to the world, it's predicting, and those predictions are shaped by your body's current state." Your mind is constantly trying to make sense of your body. It's a concept called interoception, and what it is the brain's way of scanning the messages that are being sent from the body to perceive a sense of safety or danger. Things like your heart rate, your digestion, your tension in your muscles, and in the context of today's podcast, your breathing. Your brain is constantly picking up on the quality of your breath to let it know if you are safe or in danger. So the brain is reading these signals and then making predictions based off that. So if you don't feel a sense of safety in your body, no amount of positive thinking is going to shift your state. And it's why thinking more often doesn't work, because if your body is on edge, your mind will create thoughts to match it. I'm going to say that again because it is so important, and honestly, it has completely changed the way that I think about stress, about overthinking. If your body still feels on edge, your mind will create thoughts to match it. And there's a nervous system researcher called Deb Dana who uses the frame story follows state. The stories that we tell ourselves in our mind are followed by the state of our bodies, our nervous system. If our heart rate is faster, if our breath is shallow, the thoughts that we have will naturally follow suit to that. The mind will become busier, you'll start to ruminate, you'll get stuck in the past, replaying old conversations or situations where you should have done something differently, or worried about the future, what's going to happen. And the way that I explain that to myself and clients is that you can have the same thoughts about something. Let's say the fear of finding a relationship. And one day that has no effect on you whatsoever. You think about it, it passes through, and that's that. But another day, that same thought about not finding a relationship could be the heaviest thing in the world for you. In both of those contexts, the thought is the same. The thought is not finding a relationship, but the way you experience it is completely different, and that's because of a lack of perceived safety in the body. If you're dysregulated, that thought is going to hold a lot more weight for you in terms of the anxiety it creates compared to if you are regulated, and that is to do with the body. So the shift here for you is to come into the body and change what your body is experiencing to quieten the mind, to soften the voice of the inner critic. And if we think about that from a neurological level, what's happening in the brain is that the amygdala, the fear center in the brain, is getting these messages of safety from the body. So it learns to quieten, to relax, to calm down. It's creating a perceived sense of safety in the mind off the back of the messages been sent by the body. And it's a two-way connection between the mind and the body, but around 80 to 85% of the messages are sent from body to mind, not mind to body. That's why this work can be so powerful. There's another quote from Lisa Feldman Barrett: "The sensations from your body are the foundation of your mind." And hopefully that gives you a sense of how we can work with the body to quieten what's happening up here. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to guide you through a short practice that you can use now and take away with you to help create that sense of safety in the body and quieten an overthinking mind. So whenever you're ready, I'd like you to either sit or lie down. I'm just taking a moment to do that. Closing down the eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And firstly, checking in on the breath, noticing how your breath is. Is it deep into the belly, or is it shallow into the top of the chest? Is it slow and smooth, or is it fast and stunted? And as you become more aware of your breath, start to make that connection between how your breath is and the signal that that sends to your mind. The mind and the body are constantly in connection with each other. The brain searches for signals coming from the body, and if your breath is shallow, if your breath is into the top of the chest, your mind will create a story of threat, of a lack of safety from that, and your thoughts will have more of a hold on you. On the flip side of that, if your breath is smooth, if it's deeper, if it's gentle, the signals you're sending to your mind are that of safety, of calm, of presence. As you continue to tune into the breath, I'd like you to gently press your feet into the ground. Another signal of safety coming from the body. Feeling each toe gently press. That connection between you and the ground. In this moment, noticing the birds chirping around me, which is also deeply regulating for the nervous system. And now that we've checked in on the body and started to create a sense of safety, we'll move into an intentional breath practice. The quickest way to downregulate our nervous system and in turn quieten our minds is to extend our exhale. So over the next couple of minutes, falling into a rhythm of breathing in through the nose for 3 and out through the nose for 5. In for 3, out for 5. Breathe in and out. Staying with that rhythm now for the next couple of minutes. If thoughts arise, just noticing them, letting them pass like clouds, each time coming back to the breath as something to focus your attention on, something to anchor to. In for 3 and out for 5. The sensations from your body are the foundation of your mind. Taking some final breaths, in for 3, out for 5. Whenever you feel ready, opening back up the eyes and noticing any subtle changes in your breath, in your mind. The mind may still be busy. Is the mind a little quieter? Is there more space there between thoughts? This practice isn't about completely wiping the mind of any thoughts. It's about creating more space, softening the voice of the inner critic, quietening the volume of the thoughts. The next time you feel your mind racing, I recommend bringing awareness to your body. Through that awareness piece we move through the conscious breath practice that we practiced. It's as simple as extending your exhale. If you found today's podcast helpful, I have a range of down-regulating breath practices on my Insight Timer, which I'll post below that you can use to help create some space between your thoughts. The breath is the only part of our autonomic nervous system that we can consciously control. We can't control our heart rate, we can't control our digestion, the tension in our muscles, but we can control our breath. We can control those signals that move from body to mind. And the breath is free. It's within us. We don't need to pay for it. We don't need to find it somewhere else. This is a tool that you have at your disposal at any given moment of any given day. So if your mind won't switch off, begin with the breath.